So really, since Minnesota beat the Lakers in 5 and the Warriors were struggling to close out Houston, I've been thinking I was gonna pick Minnesota. But the more I sit down and think about this series, I'm actually gonna go with the Warriors. Now, do I feel confident in that? Not really. But one reason I feel more confident is they are starting on the road. So if they drop one, or even if they drop two, you still only have to win one road game to win the series. And I actually feel more comfortable with the Warriors on the road. So a game 5 in Minnesota, I think the Warriors can win that. A game 7 in Minnesota, I think the Warriors can win that as well. But when looking at these teams and who they just played, I think both of them are going to have a shock to the system with how different it's going to be. Now, the Warriors, their shock is going to be how Minnesota is a great three-point shooting team after they just played the worst three-point shooting team in the NBA. So some of the things they do defensively or did defensively is obviously not going to work against Minnesota. And we could talk about that in a second. But for Minnesota, they just played a team that had to play small, that didn't know how to play small. And now they're playing a team that lives in it, that understands it, that relishes in it. And there will for sure be moments where they overwhelm the Warriors with their size. But you look at Jaden McDaniels and Julius Randle, a lot of them having great series had to do with them attacking Austin Reeves, attacking Luka. And obviously Steph is smaller than them, Pods is smaller than them, but those guys are better defenders. Pods, we all know the charges, right? I think we're going to see a lot of Pods drawing charges in this series, but also more importantly, there was no connection on the Lakers back end. It was LeBron, he did his best, but it was Rui at the rim. There was really no resistance for Randle or McDaniels in that series. Now, they could still ball out, but I don't believe we're going to see as many blow-bys as we've seen in the Lakers series. And if we do see that, Draymond's going to be there, Looney's going to be there, and then that's where we get to the three-point shooting. That's going to be a problem for the Warriors for sure. But as far as the easy buckets at the rim, the Warriors are a lot better at negating those than the Lakers were. And I could look very dumb in a week, but I just look at Pods, Moody, Jimmy Butler, GP2. These are guys that maybe aren't, well, GP2 great individual, maybe not even anymore a great individual defender, but still a good one. But these are guys that make plays on defense. The Lakers didn't have any playmakers on defense, not even mention Draymond, right? And Steph Curry is someone that makes plays defensively. So I think there's going to be a lot more resistance. Minnesota didn't even really have to think in that series. So I think the Warriors can force a lot more turnovers, and they're going to force Ant to get to that left hand. And the Warriors obviously don't have this amazing shot blocking team, but they're good at preventing you from getting there. And they're going to give Ant those shots that he's not great at. You know, the Brunson shots, the Shea shots, the Jokic shots, the little 8 to 10 foot floater range shots. That's not really Ant's game. And I think the Warriors are better than almost, I don't want to say any team, but the Warriors are one of the best teams in the NBA at forcing you into that shot. Now, if Ant is making that shot consistently, the Warriors are in trouble. They're in trouble. Because I do believe, at least to begin this series, they're not going to be overly helping on Ant. They're not going to be helping off the corners the way the Lakers did. They're going to not let Ant, but they're going to try to push him to that left hand. They're going to try to push him to that floater range. And if he's killing them from there, then the Warriors probably have no answers. But we haven't seen Ant be able to do that. Of course, if you're helping off the corner like the Lakers did, Ant can beat you with his passing as well. But if you're making him make those tough decisions, and it has to be between a left-handed layup or a kick out to the corner that might get stolen, that can happen. And so far in these playoffs, Minnesota has not turned the ball over. Only OKC and Cleveland have less turnovers per game than Minnesota. That's something I feel like is going to change against the Warriors. I feel like the way Minnesota wins this series is Ant go put up 35 a game, and we all know that can happen, which is why I'm not confident in picking the Warriors. But I think people are underrating the Warriors defenders in this scenario. Now, no one's going to stop Ant, but just in comparison to the Lakers, I'm taking Moody, I'm taking GP2. I might even take Pods before any defender the Lakers had to put on Ant. Besides Vando, I guess, right? DFS, Rui, like they were there, right? But they're not disrupting anything. Moody, GP2, Pods, if Kuminga gets on the court, those are guys that can disrupt your rhythm a little bit. Again, not saying they're going to do a great job on Ant, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people are making it out to seem. But what really kind of swayed me to picking the Warriors for this series was I was a little bit worried. I still am worried about Jimmy Butler in this series. But then I said, you know what? Every time I'm worried about Jimmy Butler, he proves me wrong, right, for years now. So I'm gonna assume Jimmy Butler figures some stuff out. And maybe that's where I'm completely wrong, because I can see a world where they lock down Jimmy Butler in this series. We've seen it in the Lakers series. Again, it's not apples to apples, but Rudy Gobert, Naz Reid, Julius Randle, even Anthony Edwards did a great job one-on-one against LeBron. And I believe the Timberwolves are gonna but a lot of times we're gonna see Rudy Gobert on Jimmy Butler. How does Jimmy Butler attack that? Rudy Gobert is not falling for your pump fake. At least he really shouldn't. And I didn't even mention Jaden McDaniels because that goes without saying, but funny enough, I think he might be the one guy Jimmy Butler is able to get his game off against. He might be able to get him into some foul trouble. So I don't know, a lot going on in this series. But ultimately, I think Steph is going to go off the series. And it reminds me a little bit of the 22 finals. And no, I don't believe they're just going to play drop coverage on Steph like Ime Udoka did in that series. But it reminds me of it because that Celtics team was so great defensively against guys like KD, against guys like Giannis, because their big wings and forwards were a huge positive, right? Grant Williams guarding Kevin Durant. That's not happening with Steph Curry. Al Horford guarding Kevin Durant. That's not happening with Steph Curry. Even a Jason Tatum guarding a Kevin Durant, guarding a Giannis. That's not really going to happen with Steph Curry. And we've seen it with this Minnesota team, last year against, again, Kevin Durant, but Cat guarding Kevin Durant. And now this year with Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid guarding LeBron James, even guarding Luka Doncic, who is not going to be moving off the ball at all. That's a different animal with Steph Curry, where the Celtics were trying to avoid switching by playing a drop. It was a flawed strategy, but in my opinion, and a lot of people disagree with me on this, them playing drop coverage on Steph kind of worked. The Warriors didn't really score that much in that series. What happened is Tatum couldn't make a shot. So yeah, it looks dumb in hindsight, or it looked dumb in the moment, but if the Celtics could have just scored in that series, they were actually holding down the Warriors offense outside of Steph, besides that game 5, of course. But yeah, you look at Minnesota and they were comfortable switching out Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle, or when they put 2 on the ball with Luka, you're putting 2 on the ball with Luka, and once Luka is off the ball, the play is dead for Luka. If Steph is as aggressive as I think he will be, there won't be enough time for Rudy Gobert to recover in those plays. So I think Steph's gonna have a big series. I think putting someone like Rudy on Jimmy Butler maybe even unlock something that the Warriors don't go to enough. And we're gonna put Jimmy in actions with Steph now and bring Rudy Gobert out. And I also want to see who Ant is guarding. I guess we don't know the starting lineups, especially with the Warriors. If Pods is starting, I guess Ant would guard Pods, although maybe Conley guards Pods, or maybe Conley guards Moody if Moody start. I don't know. But Ant is someone where you give him an assignment on defense, he's one of the best in the world. You tell Ant go guard Austin Reeves, he completely takes him out the series. But if Ant is someone you have to put on a Moses Moody, if Ant is someone you have to put on a Buddy Hield, the discipline and help principles aren't always there with Ant. He can get lost in the play. And I think that's going to be the biggest difference in this series, not Ant specifically, but just the Wolves defense as a whole. They are a great defense for sure. But guarding the Lakers, it shouldn't be, but it was actually easy. It was actually very simple. And now dealing with the confusion Steph Curry brings, and if Jimmy Butler, again, that's why I said that was kind of what I'm worried about. But if Jimmy Butler is able to score one-on-one in ways that LeBron couldn't, then the Warriors can win this series, or should win this series. But if Jimmy Butler can't get his shot off, is getting, taken out of the plays, they're putting Rudy on him, and he's not making them pay for that, then the Wolves will win this series. But I think it's going to go 6 or 7. I think Ant can just go win that series by himself with the step back threes going, all that. Then yeah, I might look dumb, but I think they're going to force Ant to drive. They're going to force him to score over Draymond and Looney at the rim, and they're going to live with those results. But I'm going Warriors in 6. Of course, there is so much more we can talk about in this series. I didn't even bring up the Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert situation. But last thing I'll say is DiVincenzo to me is the biggest X factor, because he's someone that in theory you could put on Steph for a little bit. In theory, you could put on Jimmy for a little bit. So in that way, he's an X factor, but I think even more importantly on offense, because like I'm saying, I think the Warriors are going to force Randle and Ant to be scorers and not give them these easy reads that the Lakers gave them, well, then it's on someone else as well to be able to go get a bucket. And can DiVincenzo, who is a good driver, can he take Steph one-on-one sometimes? Can he take Pods one-on-one sometimes? If he can do that, then I don't think the Warriors would panic or overreact to that, but if he can do that and help sustain their offense, then that brings a whole different element to their team. But I'm going Warriors in 6. I want to say 7, but if you're going to pick the upset, you pick them in 6, win that game at home, even though I believe the Warriors could win game 7 on the road. I'm going to go Warriors in 6, don't feel great about it, and I believe I picked against Minnesota every series the last 2 years besides the Phoenix one. So I'll probably be wrong on Minnesota again. And yeah, Warriors in 6. Don't feel good about it. Let me know in the comments down below. Tell me why I'm wrong. Please like, comment, subscribe. It will mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.